If you go to any consciousness conference, you will find that if there are 600 participants, there are 600 proposed theories of consciousness. So each and every person come up with their own version of consciousness theories. Currently, if you look at the world, there are so many theories of consciousness. Even you cannot count. And those who are politically very powerful, they campaign for them. So today I will talk about the Vedic or Hindu theory of consciousness, which is fundamentally very different from the mainstream science, whatever they talk about. And few particulars in a few minutes, I will just summarize the whole consciousness theories, because Hindus researched on consciousness very much, because they consider entire universe is alive and it's a conscious universe. And Virata Puruṣa, that is the entire universe, is a life form that is conscious. And then you have a conscious life from inside and inside and inside. It's a fractal architecture of consciousness. And at some level, I am conscious. And inside me, there are living cells and others. They are also conscious. And if you go inside a single molecule, that is also conscious. If you go inside an atom, that is also constant. If you go inside elementary particles, there is a huge universe. And if you think there is nothing, then you are making a mistake. So this fractal architecture of consciousness is the only proposal in the world among thousands and thousands of scientists you will meet in any conference anywhere. So this is the first difference, where Hinduism significantly goes out radically from others. So consciousness is not me outside. It is an infinite fractal chain, and you are a part of it. They say that, okay, there is panpsychism in Greeks. Greek tried to copy Hindus, but it couldn't. They didn't understand the basic sense of it. So panpsychism is a ridiculous proposal that came out from the Greek, that everything is conscious. So this mouse, this computer, my shirt, my ring, everything is conscious. So that is an extreme direction. So we don't go to that direction. The famous scientists, what do? They find out some component and then they say everything belongs to that component. It's almost like considering God as a supreme. So religious people, they consider God somebody sitting out there very powerful, and they are doing everything. So they are not interested much about consciousness, because I mean, what is the problem if I am zombie and and worshiping the God? So for them there is no problem. But the scientists, they have to take a component. So some people, they take a component, say in the brain, colostrum. So Mr. Koch and others, they take colostrum and other components, and then they consider it. But that is doing everything. Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff, they proposed a microtubule, and that does everything. In this way, there are hippocampus-based reasons. There are Earl Miller and others who say that there is a feedback forward brain waves coming back and forth, and that is giving us consciousness. So these are the mainstream scientists. They find one component and then they took it, then they take for it. There are some other people who come up, for an example, with some abstract features that is responsible for consciousness. Some people say, for an example, mathematics is responsible for consciousness. Some people say, okay, if you measure all the information content in the body, then it is consciousness. That is integrated information theory, IIT, proposed by Giulio Tononi, which is another stupid proposal where they say that you take all the information in the body and you add it, information plus information plus information plus information plus information is equal to consciousness. But if you cannot attack them, because anything you say, they say, no, I didn't say that. So they are those kids with whom you can never fight in argument. So getting back to now what Hinduism is talking about. So first, fractal chain of resonance, which is endless. If you go to the smaller scale, endless, you go to the outer scale. But you remember that you go there cannot be a isolated string in Hindu universe. It has to come back and connect. So it's a loop. So that's why black paper, and you make a white dot, and you make a white paper and a black dot. So those are the two ends of this string, and they are connected together. Now, we come to the most exciting part of Hindu consciousness theories. Have you seen lotus? So lotus is a symbol of Hinduism. You know why? Because each and every part is a multiverse, different universes. They call it loka, lokantara yatra, lokantar. One loka to another loka to another loka. How many total lokas are there? For it is called Shiva. He's the king of 14 lokas. Sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa, that is the 7 notes of music, aroha, and 7 notes coming back, sa ni da pa ma ga re sa. So when you complete it, you get a loop, and you take the frequencies here and there, you get raga, the fundamental concept of Hindu classical music, and the kingdom of Shiva is in Varanasi. So what do they argue? They say that Mahā Śivapāda, Jala 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 Prajala Prajala Susumna Mulastringata Chadda Mahā Śivapāda Vinyaga. Mulastringata is the pons, and through our spinal cord, if we come to the back of our head, there is a pons, there is a stem cells, and there are cerebrospinal fluid all around. So Shiva puts his footsteps over there, and that's how we become conscious. So one hypothesis of Hindus are almost like this mainstream scientists who says that the brain stem or this stem cells are important for our consciousness. So this is another. So Bhairavis are there. So coming back to lotus hypothesis of consciousness. So each petal of lotus is there. So each one is a loka. Loka means I go to different universe, different dimension. And I talked about Revati. You can see that episode, that what happens if you go to different lokas. That is a different issue. But if you go to different lokas and lokas by sankalpa I explained earlier, I'm not going to do that again. So all this lupa, if you go in a fractal manner, this journey is consciousness. So I love this. I mean, as a scientist, I could never think of anything more beautiful explanation than this one, when you say that the journey is consciousness. I mean, tears come down to my eyes when I'm alone. That whoever said this, you have multiverses, and in your mind, you go to the meditation and you go to different universes where completely different dimensions of time is there. That's the beauty. You know, Kala Chakra, but for Hindus, time is cyclic. So different cycles are there. Time passes in a completely different way. Millions of years is a fraction of a second over there. So when you travel all these things, that journey is your consciousness. By Sankhya philosophers, there is another very radical idea of consciousness. That one is what I believe in, and I have proposed a self-operating mathematical universe hypothesis for consciousness based on that particular principle. In Sankhya principle, they say that there are 2 universes. One universe is physical reality that we see, space-time, spatio-temporal dynamics, 3 dimensions of space, 3 dimensions of time, spatio-temporal dynamics, whatever is happening, that is Maya, that is Prakṛti. And then there is a mathematical universe, geometric morphogenesis. Geometric shapes are continuously changing rapidly, and there are some invariants of knots. And if you count them, you get prime numbers and dynamics of the prime numbers. So 3 dimensions of morphogenesis and 3 dimensions of prime, 6 dimensions, from 7 dimension to 12 dimension is the Puruṣa. So Puruṣa Prakṛti duality comes, and the connecting point where it is there is the Ahankara is born, mind is born, and consciousness is emergence from that particular point. So that's the beautiful thing of consciousness. So by which you can create different multiverse points. Then multiverse concept of consciousness, which is already there, and I have already explained. So in summary, we find that first concept of consciousness is a fractal resonance chain, consciousness life forms, that is out there. Then there is a spinal cord on top of it, stem cells like structures, which you use in every single Hindu puja. You have to tell this mantra, tell these hymns. Jala Jala Prajala Prajala Susumna Mulastringata Chadda. Mulastringata is the corpus callosum, and Mahā Śivapāda is the pons. Mulastringata Chadda Mahā Śivapāda Vinyaga. So that's physical definition of consciousness. Then you have multiverses theory. When you make a journey through multiverses, that is in consciousness. And then two conical shapes. So one is Puruṣa and Prakṛti, and then the junction point where Ahankara is born, that is in consciousness. So together, using all these hypotheses, what we come to to the end of this video is that consciousness is a vast topic, cannot be, but alternate reality, multiverses, and many other hypotheses you will find all over the world for explaining what is consciousness, self-awareness. But what you cannot take it out from your mind is that you are the universe in itself, and you are a fraction, undefined dot in the whole universe. So the whole universe can fill your consciousness, and the universe has created consciousness so that it can become more and more conscious. So there is a purpose for creating conscious life forms, exploring for, of course, Sankhyawadis will say that they wanted to invent new primes, new Vedic numbers, but it's just exploring the higher level consciousness in a more elementary form.